Welcome to Tower Talk Business Radio, where we bring you conversations with the top business minds on Long Island and around the nation every week. Featuring expert consultants and small business owners who have found success but are also willing to share their top tips, failures, and give gritty, matter-of-fact advice based on their firsthand experience. Now, let's get down to business on Tower Talk Business Radio on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.
Hello and welcome to Tower Talk Business Radio. My name is Ray Schwetz, AVP of Business Banking at Jovia Financial Credit Union. We're focused on being the premier resource for business and entrepreneurship. We bring you weekly advice, tips, tools, and services that help you grow your business. Plus, we interview the top business leaders and community leaders in the industry. Now, I'm very excited because today we have a returning Tower Talk guest, a very good friend of mine, and he's the Development Assistant at the Cerebral Palsy Association of Nassau County, Chris Feehan. Now, Chris is also the commanding officer and the Long Island events coordinator for the Empire City Garrison of the 501st Legion, which, if you're a Star Wars fan, you know that that's the charitable side of the Star Wars fandom. So, Chris, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Ray.
Oh, so glad to have you on, and we're talking about some exciting stuff, specifically the upcoming Sci-Fi Minicon. But before we jump into that, I just want to congratulate you for the innovative and impactful ways that you've been fundraising for CP Nassau. You have a very special event coming up July 20th. But before we get to that, let's talk about CP Nassau and the organization's mission.
Well, since 1948, the Cerebral Palsy Association has been working to provide the highest quality of services for children and adults with disabilities to help them move forward and reach their highest level of independence. Those aren't just words. That's really what CP Nassau is all about. They've been striving for over 75 years to provide those services to individuals with disabilities, and in the world, that hasn't always been the case. And when I first joined the organization about 5 years ago, one of the first things they showed me in my orientation was a video of the Willowbrook incident. There was an institution up in Willowbrook in upstate New York that Geraldo Rivera famously exposed for not treating people with disabilities properly, for having rooms with 100 people with disabilities being handled by one DSP, direct service provider. And it was literally a horror show, a house of horrors. Nowadays, we have organizations like OPWDD, which is the Organization for People with Developmental Disabilities, that oversee all the services that are provided by these various organizations. And CP Nassau is always at the top of striving to meet those requirements and going beyond those requirements. Not only providing the bare minimum, providing extra services, extra innovation, extra levels of independence that people with disabilities could not get from government-run organizations, even to this day. I'm very proud to be working for such an innovative and positive organization.
I've had the pleasure of taking a tour of the facility. I think that's the best way to really learn about the organization and what they do and the impact. And also that company culture that you're talking about. I mean, the consumers in your program, it's obvious to me that they're enjoying their partnership with their direct service providers. It's obvious to me that they're smiling, they're happy. They come up to you and talk to you because they're so excited about what they're doing.
They build friendships. I mean, our DSPs form lifelong friendships with many of our individuals. And at CP Nassau, they provide a wealth of services, from adult services, day programs, to different rehab, outpatient services, medical services. We have a children's learning center where we serve children up through college age, all different types of services, whether it be occupational therapy, physical therapy, any kind of developmental assistance they may need to help them catch up with other children in classrooms. Everything that we do is striving to give people that little extra push, that little extra help, so that they can live their best life, their best version of whatever they're capable of, and assist them in any way possible. Talking about going above and beyond, things that they do at CP Nassau that they don't do at a lot of other organizations, or especially government-run organizations. We have a sports team called the Thunderbolts that plays bocce all around the world. I mean,
that's so cool.
And those kind of things are not necessarily funded by government stuff. That's where the development department, our department, comes in and tries to raise money, raise funds so that we can do those extra special things, do those things that really these folks can do that gives them an outlet to be able to do what they want to be doing. We also have a very innovative program called the MOVE program that a lot of other organizations have not even touched upon. It's mobility opportunities via education. It's special equipment that lets people with disabilities, specifically ones that may not have the use of their legs or their legs may not be fully developed, it lets them stand erect and develop those muscles in their legs, helps them with their digestion by standing in that erect position. Those things cost money, and they're not always covered by various insurance companies. So we're there to try to help bridge that gap, and we're always looking for donors, for different ways to raise money so that we can afford those opportunities to as many people as possible within our organization.
Despite the innovative and amazing work that CP Nassau does in leading the way on this, I'm sure there's still lots of misconceptions that you run up against. Can you talk a little bit about that so we can demystify that? Absolutely.
As you know, with my other organization I work with, we work with a lot of different organizations that are raising money for various causes. And cerebral palsy is always something that's very hard to explain to outsiders. It covers a wide range of disabilities, from developmental delays to brain injuries at birth to brain injuries after birth. We serve people that might have had a brain injury in a car accident or in a fall or something else in their life. It covers a broad range of disabilities, and it's not something that's a quick fix or has a quick cure. It's something that requires constant attention, constant progress, constant innovation to again, try to help those individuals live the best version of their life, to help them achieve their optimum functionality and their independence. One of the things that we strive to do, which, again, you don't get a lot with government-run facilities, is self-determination. We like to let those individuals make their own choices about what they want to do and how they want to proceed and what goals they want to try to achieve. And that is something that CP Nassau always strives to provide.
Now, can you tell us about some of those challenges that you've hit? I know that obviously funding, that you touched on that. Can you go a little bit deeper into that so that folks understand the challenges that CP Nassau faces? Absolutely.
We're constantly dealing with politicians who make promises and then don't deliver. We recently had a big push to get an increase in the COLA, the cost of living adjustment, to help properly pay our DSPs. We only got about half of what we wanted and what we had asked for and what we were promised by a lot of these politicians. That's something where people can be active. I mean, speak to your representatives. Let them know this is an issue that we don't want to leave these people behind. We want to make sure they have the services they deserve, they have the people they deserve to be taking care of them, and that we're paying our people properly. There's also been various challenges due to the pandemic. Pre-pandemic, I had joined the organization, and for the first year that I was working there, things were rocking pretty well. I mean, we had about 8 events a year. We were raising a significant amount of money for the organization. COVID hit, and it was a dead stop. I mean, we spent a year and a half really striving to raise money in any way we could, and there really was no option. There's no live events. There's no way to do raffles or walks or polar plunges or any of the things that we were normally able to do. It was a dead stop, and we lost a lot of employees during that time, due to not having the funding and not having the ability to continue paying them, and it was really a tragedy. Luckily, we did come through that and started coming up with new and innovative ways to raise money. One of the things that I spearheaded that you can talk about a little later in more detail is an eBay store. We had a lot of prizes laying around, and we had a lot of donations laying around that we didn't have any outlet to raise money from them. Right. So online seemed like the logical choice. I happen to have run an eBay store in my past privately, and I brought it up to my boss and I said, "Listen, I know a little about eBay. I've worked a lot on eBay." I said, "This is something we could probably accomplish." And after we've now been running that eBay store for 3 years solid, and it's raised over $75,000 for the organization. It's been a huge boon for the organization and something that I'm very proud of. But we've also had to re-engineer and reimagine some of our events. I mentioned the polar plunge. We started getting a lot of competition with the polar plunge, and it's also something that wasn't as attractive in a post COVID era, we've had to scuttle the Polar Plunge. We've had to scuttle our Festival of Trees. That was a huge festival that we had at the Cradle of Aviation every year around Christmas time. Unfortunately, unless we had 90% attendance, it really wasn't a profitable event for us. Unfortunately, post-COVID, that wasn't going to be possible. We ran the numbers and said, that's not going to be possible. But we had some other events that we were able to retool. We had an event called the Taste and Toast of the Town. We ran every May. That was a tasting fest. We'd have all different restaurants come in and have samples. Post-COVID, that's not going to work. That's not going to be possible. But we re-engineered it, made it a casino night, and that was very popular. We've run that 2 years in a row, and that's been a very popular event, and we're hoping to continue that on and continue that as a tradition. We still have a golf and tennis outing that we're running in August that's successful. It's a nice outdoor event. We have an event coming up in November called the Forget-Me-Not Ball that's now been rebranded the Best Laid Plans. We're doing it as a murder mystery night.
Oh, that's pretty exciting.
Adding some new excitement, some a new angle to a tried and true thing that we've done for over 70 years. We're trying to mix it up a little bit, make it more attractive to people that might be outside the organization that might not be familiar with us. And we have an event called the Sugar Plum Ball, which used to be a young girls only event that was for girls between the ages of about 5 and 12. They would come with their fathers, and it would be a swanky ball. Well, after COVID, we realized that the numbers just weren't there. And they reached out to me and said, Chris, you're a guy. Can you come up with something that would attract young boys to come to this? So we came out with expanding the Sugar Plum Ball to not just be the Sugar Plum Ball for girls, but the Sugar Plum Ball and Galactic Gala. And we added a Star Wars element and some other costume characters. We got some boys to attend that first year right after COVID, and that's become a successful event for us, and we're doing that again in December. It's now added that extra Star Wars element to get boys involved, so now it's a co-ed event that sons can bring their moms and daughters can bring their fathers or other significant person in their life and have a great time. And the beautiful thing about that event, to me, it was one of them. It is, even though I'm helping run the Sci-Fi Minicon, my favorite personal event is the Sugar Plum Ball, because we also bring in about a dozen to 20 individuals with disabilities that we sponsor. So they come at no cost, and they get to interact with the other kids there at the Sugar Plum Ball. And to see the children with disabilities and without disabilities coming together and not caring about the disabilities and playing together and dancing together and enjoying that party together is just the most beautiful thing in the world.
That is so cool. Now, you are listening to Tower Talk Business Radio on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. I'm Ray Schwetz, and our guest today is Chris Feehan, Development Assistant at Cerebral Palsy Association of Nassau County. So, in addition to your CP Nassau work, obviously you do a lot of work with the 501st Legion, and that has helped your position at CP Nassau in introducing some of these new innovations. Can you talk with me about how you got involved with the 501st?
Absolutely. Well, I've always been a super uber nerd geek sci-fi
same here.
aficionado. Yep. And I in the late 90s, I was affiliated with Battlestar Galactica. I ran a campaign to help bring back the series Battlestar Galactica. And then when the new show came out and I didn't like it, I kind of burnt, and I was like looking for other things to do in the sci-fi realm. And I had always seen these guys dressed up as stormtroopers at different conventions, and I was always wondered, how do you get these costumes? Well, at a convention at Nassau Coliseum, and I think it was around 2006, 2007, I followed one of them back to the changing room, which you should never do. I'm just saying, just don't do that.
Right.
But I did, and I asked one of the individuals there, his name was Ruby, and I'm still friends with Ruby to this day, and asked him, where did you get that incredible costume? And he was nice enough to give me his information, to start me on that path, tell me where I can get the parts to construct my own Stormtrooper costume. Spent about a year and a half getting that together, and in 2008, I joined the 501st. And they do incredible work. They do over 100 events a year in the New York area with the Empire City Garrison. There's garrisons all around the country and around the world, but we're the local affiliate, the local garrison for the New York area. But they do over 100 events a year for various charities. They do hospital visits. And to see the looks on the kids' faces when you go to the hospital and you're bringing a smile to their face and when they're going through such a tough time is just means the world to me. But I've been doing that for about 10, 11 years. I was very unhappy in my professional life. I had worked for Verizon. I worked for another development company out in the island. And then I had worked for 20th Century Fox doing computer work, doing technical support and being an administrator for development. When I lost the job with 20th Century Fox because of the Disney merger, I finally made a decision. I said, I don't want to work for corporate America anymore. And I loved what I did so much with the 501st. So I said, where could I find something that would bridge, the two things? And I started looking into nonprofits. The very first nonprofit that I reached out to was CP Nassau, and spoke to Mary Broski, who's one of the managers there, who I had worked with for 8 years before, doing multiple events, polar plunges, festival of trees, different things, and said, I saw you had an opening in your development department, and I pitched myself that, I've been doing this for 11 years. I'm the event coordinator. I was also the charity representative for the Empire City Garrison. So I have some experience in fundraising. And she's like, oh, come in for an interview. When she gave me the tour of the place, like you said, I was like, this is where I need to be. This is a cause I can really believe in. This is something that I can go that extra mile for. This is something that would really get my juices flowing, really get my creative juices flowing. And I've been working there for the past 5 years now, and it's just been incredible. And I've been able to bring some of that sci-fi geekness, some of that thinking outside the box to the organization, which I'm very proud to do and very happy to do. Just anything I can do to help them raise funds, to help them raise awareness about what we're doing, I'm willing to do.
Yeah, that brings us, of course, to MiniCon. So yes. I have to say it's been pretty cool seeing that you developed this sci-fi MiniCon. The first year was a lot of fun, and every year now, and now this is the third year.
Yes.
And it's grown like substantially each one. Like this one now, the guest list is very impressive. For a regional event, I think it's pretty darn cool.
Well, for a free event.
For a free event,
it's unbelievable. And really, it came about completely haphazardly. Uh-huh. The first year we did it, about a month and a half before the date, which was also in July, we had been in contact, and this was before we had anything planned. We had nothing planned for that. Nothing was going on. An actor from Star Wars had reached out to us. His name is Dominic Pace. He lives in California, but he has family in White Plains. And he said, I'm going to be in the area visiting my family in July. I love you guys, the 501st, and everything you do. I'd be available for this weekend if you'd like me to do like a talk or a meet and greet or something like that with the 501st. Because I'll be in the area. And it just exploded from there. I talked to my charity representative, John Trowbridge, and he says, why don't we make this into like a fundraiser or something? And, well, maybe you could do it for CP Nassau. Maybe you could do something. So we looked into it. We managed to get Levittown Hall for free because we're a nonprofit. We managed to get some other interested guests. George Papadimitrios, who's a local actor who I'd met at another local event, agreed to come. Brimstone, who's a well-known wrestler and celebrity, said he'd come. He also lives in the area. Raging Chaos and a few other local artists and vendors said that they'd be able to come. And we just started putting it together. And literally with less than a month to put it together, we managed to put this together. And we could not have done it without the help of the 501st and the people in my group who built a giant set of the trash compactor, had 20 or 30 volunteers on hand to help set everything up, helped advertise it on Facebook and Twitter. And that first year we got nearly 1,000 people. I'd say we had a little under 1,000 people. It was a little sporadic because it wasn't well advertised. It wasn't well known. But we did our best to try to spread the word, and we did get a nice attendance. So we said, why don't we try to make this a yearly event? Let's try to get this together and plan. Actually plan for it next time, not just haphazardly throw it together. So we started planning that very next year. We started getting some other actors. We got Elizabeth Shepard. We got Joe Zazzo, who's a famous actor from a lot of B movies and other things in a cookbook that he's written. We got Raging Chaos to come back. We got George Papadimitrios to come back, and he brought a friend of his, Angelo, who's another local actor who managed to come. And we just, kept snowballing it and trying to make it even bigger. And last year, we added a Batmobile and a DeLorean out front and even more attractions and a magician. which was just incredible. His name is Robin Channing, and he did like a live demonstration on stage showing off some incredible
that was
stuff.
a pretty cool,
And the Saber Guild doing their lightsaber demonstrations and training of young Jedis. We had all these other organizations come forward, and then we had the Ghostbusters, which I have to do a shout out to them. The Long Island Ghostbusters came, and I want to shout out to Charlie Rivera, who helped us raffle off last year a Proton Pack, a Ghostbusters Proton Pack, which raised over $1,000 alone for the Cerebral Palsy Association. Wow. So they really stepped up. All these fan organizations stepped up and said, after they saw what it was the first year, they all wanted to be involved and all wanted to participate. And this year is no different. This year we're raising the bar even higher. Mm-hmm. We started even earlier this year reaching out. And I got to say, I reached out to every agent, every talent agent, everybody I could find online. And I only got one response from one in California who said, I do actually have some clients in the New York area. And William Ragsdale, who was in the movie Fright Night as Charlie, was also in Herman's Head, and he was recently in the show Justified, agreed to come, waiving his usual fee and usual minimums, and said, I'd be willing to come and, just do it for the charity and,
wow.
and just come to be your celebrity guest. And more recently, we had Catherine Mary Stewart, who was trying to come last year, was not able to due to some other family obligations, but this year has agreed to come. And I can't tell you how happy we are to have her. She's a personal, crush of mine from the 80s, from The Last Starfighter,
I
from
think
Night of the
everybody
Comet,
from the 80s just
Weekend at Bernie's. She's been in so many things over the years that have just, my entire childhood, and she's continued acting right through that. She's recently been on, I think, Blue Bloods and a few other shows. She's still acting, still being a vital actor, and somebody who I think will help bring even a more diverse crowd to this minicon. And we have Shannon Collins, who's like a mystic who's written some books. We have Michael Jan Friedman, who's written over, I think, 80 Star Trek books and had over 10 of them on the New York Times bestseller list. He was there last year. He's going to be back this year. And incredible cosplayers like my friend Ruby, Bella Lungongo, who does an incredible Princess Leia and a host of other Star Wars characters, and a man named Angel, who came last year with his full Mandalorian speeder bike, which he drives
incredible.
Around, and it's just incredible. Dressed as full Mando on the speeder bike. He is an incredible individual. Also came to our Sugar Plum Ball and did a different costume for that. So these people just, when they hear about what we're doing, when they hear about the cause, and they can come and help out in some way, they've been very receptive to coming out for this. So I'm just so happy we have so many incredible guests this year, so much diverse things for people to see, and we're going to have tons and tons of raffles. We have over $2,500 worth of raffle prizes, and I have to remind everybody who comes, it is a free event. Please put in for the raffles. Please buy some of our snacks and waters and other things. All those funds that we raise from those two things go 100% to the Cerebral Palsy Association. And I'd like to thank Jovia. Jovia is the one who makes this all possible. They saw the first year, they said, sure, we'll sponsor it. Because, some of the people at Jovia are big sci-fi fans and said, we'll give it a chance. And this is a worthy cause. We'll help sponsor this and help you get your initial costs out of the way. And without their help, this wouldn't even be possible.
And I know that at Jovia, we're very excited about it. So, yes, as you mentioned, there's a few people, including our CEO, who are big Star Wars fans.
Yeah.
So we're all very excited about it. So what's next for you and for CP Nassau?
Oh, well, as I mentioned, we have a number of events still coming up for this year. After the mini-con on July 20th at Levittown Hall, we have our golf outing. That's on August 1st. We have our Best Laid Plans Murder Mystery night. That's really a swanky party. That's going to be on November 2nd. We have our 5K run, great outdoor event. That's going to be on November 17th. And we have our Sugar Plum Ball. That's going to be December 8th. And again, it's a Sugar Plum Ball and Galactic Gala open to boys and girls. An incredibly fun event. We really treat them like royalty. They feel like princes and princesses there. And it's just an incredible event. They get to interact with the characters there. They get to dance with each other. They get to participate in raffles that we have there. And it's just an incredibly fun event for kids.
And you can see the pictures on the website for CP Nassau. Just amazing. If you want to get an idea of what the experience is, that's the place to look.
Yeah, it's a beautiful event.
Yes. So what's the one thought you want to make sure that you leave our listener with?
Well, just that, when I first got into this, again, doing this both in my private life and in my professional life, it's like I'm never working a day in my life at this point. I really feel that everything I do, when you do stuff on behalf of others, it's like you're not even working. It's like you feel compelled to do it. I sometimes stay late and work extra and check my email. I used to hate doing that when I was working for these other corporate companies. I do it voluntarily now because I want to find out, are we raising money? How's the eBay store doing? How's this doing? It's something that I can't wait to check. I literally cannot wait to check if we've sold something on our eBay store. I can't wait to see if we've gotten a response from somebody coming to the Minicon. I can't wait to see if we've raised more money for something at the Minicon. So it's something that, if you find your passion, if you find what you've been looking for and you're doing stuff in service for others, it's incredibly rewarding, and you find yourself being motivated by something more than money and self-interest. You find yourself really expanding your horizons and feeling good about what you're doing.
Yeah, agreed. It feeds the soul, that's for sure. So where can folks find out information about you, about the 501st, about CP Nassau, and about Minicon?
Well, absolutely. First thing, cpnassau.org. You can check us out for our events coming up, the services we provide, and for career opportunities. I'd like to mention that CP Nassau is an incredible place to work. Not only do they provide health care, but they also provide other services, including tuition programs with Nassau Community College to help you get your certificates, to help you get an associate's degree. It's one of the few organizations that does that and really is committed to developing their employees and making them better. You can also check out the 501st at 501ecg.com and find out different events that we're going to be doing in the coming months and different ways that you can come out and see us. I'd also like to mention that if you cannot attend the Sci-Fi Minicon, please check out cpnassau.org, our events page. There are links to 2 incredible raffles that we're doing for the Cerebral Palsy Association. The 501st is raffling off a lightsaber, and the Ghostbusters, again, are raffling off a HasLabs Proton Pack. So even if you can't attend, please participate in those raffles. It raises, all the money goes directly to CP Nassau, and you still have a shot at winning them, even if you cannot attend the event itself.
Very cool stuff. Well, Chris, thank you so much again for joining us. Always great to have you on the show. Looking forward to Minicon.
Oh, I can't wait. It's going to be a great event.
So I'd like to leave you with DB's philosophy, which, of course, is do or do not. There is no try. Yoda. We want to thank you for being with us. My name is Ray Schwetz, along with Donyshia Boston-Hill, your co-host and producer. Visit nccradio.org for more information. Available on Odyssey, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, as a podcast on iTunes, Android Podcasts, and Spreaker. This has been Tower Talk Business Radio, powered by the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.